On our website, you can get PDF learning materials for free. Please visit englist.me.
Elicit.
To obtain information or a reaction from someone, usually with difficulty.
Examples:
Elicit a confession. Elicit a solution. Have you elicited a response from them yet?
Alarm.
A loud noise or an automatic signal that warns people of danger. A device that signals the occurrence of some undesirable event or particular danger.
Examples:
Give the alarm. An alarm clock. The alarm announcing an enemy attack went off this morning.
Lung.
Either of the two organs in the chest that people and some animals use for breathing.
Examples:
Lung capacity. Do lung transplantation. He has terminal lung cancer.
Cancer.
Abnormal growth of cells that can invade and destroy surrounding tissues and organs. A disease characterized by the uncontrolled growth and spread of abnormal cells.
Examples:
Cancer diagnosis. Cancer research. Breast cancer is the most common type of cancer in women.
Grant.
To agree to give or allow somebody.
Examples:
Grant a new license. Grant a land. The chairperson granted him the right to speak.
Advantage.
A condition or circumstance that puts one in a favorable or superior position, a beneficial feature or asset that someone or something has.
Examples:
Score an advantage. Take advantage of his weak points. One of the main advantages of the new product is its increased efficiency.
Cavalier.
Displaying a lack of concern or seriousness, offhand or disdainful towards important matters, adopting a carefree or arrogant attitude. Noun, a gentleman or a knight, especially one who is gallant or courtly.
Examples:
Cavalier dismissal. Cavalier language. The cavalier attitude of the driver caused him to disregard the rules of the road.
Attitude.
The way you think and feel about someone or something.
Examples:
Attitude toward mistakes. Attitude control. She had the attitude that work was fun.
Brilliant.
Extremely clever, skilled, or impressive.
Examples:
Brilliant idea. Brilliant performance. The more brilliant you are, the more people around you look at you with envy and jealousy.
Aggressive.
Behaving in an angry, energetic, or threatening way towards another person, tending to spread quickly.
Examples:
An aggressive war. An aggressive tumor. An aggressive tide wrecked the ship.
Democracy.
A form of government in which the people have the authority to deliberate and decide legislation, or to choose governing officials to do so.
Examples:
Democracy advocate. Principles of democracy. Democracy often entails inclusive capitalism as well.
Convinced.
Completely certain about something, having a strong belief or conviction in a particular religion.
Examples:
Convinced of the idea. Convinced criminal. The public is convinced that the Prime Minister has committed fraud.
Accomplishment.
The successful completion of a task or goal, an ability that has been acquired by training.
Examples:
Proud of his accomplishments. The accomplishment of a social goal. Graduating from college was a major accomplishment for her.
Belt.
To sing loudly and forcefully, to hit someone or something hard. Noun, a strip of leather or other material worn to tie or buckle something around the body.
Examples:
Belt him in the face. Leather belt. The band was belting out old songs in response to audience requests.
Tweet.
A short, high sound made by a small bird, a message sent using Twitter, the social media application.
Examples:
A chick's tweet. His latest tweets. We could hear the tweet of baby birds.
Responsible.
Answerable or accountable for something within one's power, control, or management.
Examples:
Responsible action. Responsible for customer service. She's a responsible pet owner who ensures her dog gets enough exercise and a healthy diet.
Creditor.
A person, company, etc., to whom a debtor owes money.
Examples:
The creditor's claims. Bankrupt creditor. I asked the lawyer to initiate creditor negotiations for voluntary liquidation.
Relation.
The way two persons or groups of people feel and act toward one another.
Examples:
Relation between cause and effect. Relation of inclusion. The industrial relations laws were passed with little to no alteration.
Get-go.
The start or beginning of something.
Examples:
At the get-go. Work well from the get-go. From the get-go, it was clear that the project would be a challenge.
Attract.
To draw or entice someone or something towards them through the qualities they have, especially positive ones.
Examples:
Attract attention. Attract customers. The government is eager to attract international investment.
Swipe.
To strike, hit, or slap with a sweeping motion. To pass a magnetic stripe or barcode through a scanner to read data. To steal or take something quickly and with little effort.
Examples:
Swipe a card. Swipe left on a dating app. He tried to swipe the phone from my hand, but I held on tight.
Fantasy.
A fiction with a large amount of imagination in it, a pleasant situation that you imagine, but that is unlikely to happen.
Examples:
Fantasy novel. Confuse fantasy with reality. Composition by artificial intelligence is no longer a fantasy.
Fan.
A person who admires and supports a person, group, sport, sports team, etc., a device for creating a current of air by the movement of a surface or surfaces.
Examples:
A film fan. Engine cooling fan. I'm a big fan of French food.
Agent.
A person who represents and negotiates on behalf of someone else, such as a literary agent or talent agent, of chemistry and medicine, a substance that brings about a chemical or physical effect, of computer science, a piece of software that performs a task autonomously.
Examples:
Agent system. Antidiarrheal agent. The FBI agent went undercover to infiltrate the criminal organization.
Executive.
A person or group of people with top-level management responsibility in a business or other organization, the branch that is responsible for implementing, administering, and enforcing laws, as well as running the day-to-day operations.
Examples:
Executive editor at the publishing house. Executive vice president. As the executive director of the nonprofit, it's her responsibility to make sure they're meeting their mission goals.
Brain.
The organ inside the head that is responsible for one's movement, thought, memory, and feeling.
Examples:
Basic brain function. Permanent brain damage. X-rays revealed a small tumor in his brain.
Function.
The purpose or use of an object, system, or process, a particular activity or operation that is designed to serve a specific purpose, a mathematical concept that describes a relationship between two sets of values, called the input and output sets. Verb, to operate or work in a specific way, or to perform a particular task or purpose.
Examples:
Function properly. Immune function. The brain is an incredibly complex organ that controls the body's function.
Sub-zero.
Indicating a temperature that is below freezing point, extremely cold, or frigid.
Examples:
Sub-zero climate. Sub-zero freezer. The sub-zero temperatures during the winter can be dangerous for those not properly dressed.
Refrigerator.
An appliance or device used for preserving and cooling food and beverages by maintaining a low temperature within a closed compartment.
Examples:
refrigerator magnet, empty refrigerator. Don't forget to put the eggs in the refrigerator after you've used them.
Yoga.
A Hindu spiritual and ascetic discipline including breath control, simple meditation, and the adoption of specific bodily postures, which is widely practiced for health and relaxation.
Examples:
aerial yoga, yoga teacher. Many people find that regular yoga practice can help reduce stress and anxiety.
Develop.
To grow or expand, to improve or refine through a process of progress and refinement, often to achieve greater sophistication or complexity, to elaborate or add detail to something that is in the process of being created.
Examples:
develop a strategy, develop a skill. We must develop a new system to streamline our workflow and increase efficiency.
Dope.
A slang term for drugs, typically illegal ones, any thick liquid or paste-like substance, information or news, especially if thought to be confidential.
Examples:
dope scandal, smoking dope. He was arrested for possessing illegal dope.
Celebrate.
To acknowledge a memorable or good day or event with a social gathering or enjoyable activity.
Examples:
celebrate his election, celebrate Christmas. He celebrated the 10th anniversary of his tenure.
Vase.
A container, typically ornamental, for holding flowers or other decorative objects.
Examples:
a ceramic vase, vase pottery. The exquisite vase was filled with a bouquet of flowers.
Grand.
Important and large in size, scope, or extent.
Examples:
a grand meal. Grand this year.
Catalog.
A complete list of items, often including technical details and prices.
Examples:
a classified catalog. Catalog card. She used the online catalog to find the perfect pair of earrings for her sister's birthday.
Jibe.
To be in agreement, to fit together smoothly. Noun, a taunting or insulting remark, an action that is in accord or agreement with something else.
Examples:
friendly jibe. Jibe with expectations. The politician's words didn't jibe with his previous statements, making people question his honesty.
Aesthetic.
Connected with the enjoyment or study of beauty.
Examples:
aesthetic value. Aesthetic feeling. My aesthetic standards are quite different from hers.
Life-sized.
Being of the same size as the person or thing represented.
Examples:
A life-sized model. Life-sized wooden sculptures. This museum has a life-sized model of a mammoth.
Imposter.
Someone who pretends to be someone or something else to deceive others, a fraud.
Examples:
Imposter syndrome. Detect an imposter. The online marketplace warned customers to beware of imposter sellers trying to scam them.
Dive.
To jump into the water with your head and arms going in first, or to move down to a deeper level underwater.
Examples:
Dive into anime communities. Dive off a cliff. The sperm whale can dive to 1,000 meters.
Quantum.
The smallest amount or unit of something, especially electromagnetic energy.
Examples:
Probabilistic quantum theory. Laws of quantum mechanics. Big techs are now eager to develop quantum computers.
Physics.
The science of matter and energy and their interactions.
Examples:
Nuclear physics. Laws of physics. He studied the physics of radiation.
Chaos.
A state of complete confusion or disorder, often characterized by a lack of predictability or control.
Examples:
Chaos theory. Midst of chaos. The conference room was in chaos as everyone tried to speak at once.
Heal.
To make a wound or injury to become well again.
Examples:
Heal a broken bone. Heal the hurt mind. It will take time for her mental scars to heal.
Surgery.
Medical treatment of injuries or diseases involving an incision with instruments and often removing or replacing some parts of the body, the branch of medical science that treats disease or injury by operative procedures.
Examples:
Cardiac surgery. The professor of surgery. He had undergone heart surgery years before.
Wheelchair.
A chair fitted with large wheels for use as a means of transport by a person who is unable to walk.
Examples:
Electric-powered wheelchair. Wheelchair accessibility. This library rents out various types of folding wheelchairs for visitors.
Deny.
To state that one refuses to admit the existence or truth of something.
Examples:
Adamantly deny killing. Deny the allegations. He is still denying stealing the money from the cash register.
Ignore.
To intentionally not listen or pay attention to.
Examples:
Ignore her advice. Ignore a ban. Since independence, the area has been completely ignored.
Imaginary.
Existing only in someone's mind.
Examples:
Imaginary number. Imaginary pregnancy. Little children tend to have imaginary friends.
Creative.
Relating to or involving the use of skill and original and unusual ideas to create something.
Examples:
Creative writing. Barren of creative spirit. All the supervisor has to do is assign tasks that make his subordinates more creative.
Zeitgeist.
The spirit or general outlook of a particular period of time, especially as it is reflected in the beliefs and attitudes of that time, the cultural, intellectual, or moral climate of a society or era.
Examples:
The zeitgeist of the era. Cultural zeitgeist. The political speech resonated with the zeitgeist of national unity and cooperation.
Decide.
To make up someone's mind about something, to come to a conclusion or judgment after considering options.
Examples:
Decide a question. Decide on a course of action. She couldn't decide whether to order the pizza or the pasta for dinner.
Opposition.
The act of disagreeing or resisting, the state of strong disagreement.
Examples:
Opposition campaign. Meet with opposition. The opposition party strongly disagreed with the government's proposed legislation.
Trump.
A playing card with a picture of a trumpeter on it, used in certain card games.
Examples:
Trump card. Choose Trump. The trump suit in the game of bridge is determined at the beginning of each hand.
Alt-right.
Abbreviation for alternative right, a political movement or group characterized by extreme conservative, nationalist, or authoritarian beliefs, often associated with white supremacy or xenophobic attitudes.
Examples:
Alt-right politics. Alt-right media. The radical beliefs of the alt-right movement have been widely criticized for promoting hate and intolerance.
Climate.
The weather in a particular location averaged over some long period.
Examples:
A cold climate. Effects of climate change. Climate and weather have an impact on every part of our lifestyles.
Gaslight.
To manipulate someone psychologically into doubting their perceptions and memories of events, typically to gain control over them or to make them question their own sanity. Noun, a type of lighting that was commonly used in the 19th and early 20th centuries. in which a flame burns within a glass globe to produce a steady light.
Examples:
Gaslight the public by denying the evidence. Gaslight district. He tried to gaslight her into believing that she was the one who caused the argument.
Preface.
An introduction or preliminary statement, particularly to a book or other written work, that provides context or sets out the author's purpose or perspective.
Examples:
Preface page. Book preface. The author wrote a powerful preface explaining their motivation for writing the book.
Absolutely.
Without restriction or limitation, completely or utterly.
Examples:
Absolutely against. Absolutely obsessed with the girl. I am absolutely opposed to his idea because of morality.
Uncanny.
Strange or mysterious, often in a way that is unsettling.
Examples:
In an uncanny manner. Uncanny resemblance. She has an uncanny sense of who is telling a lie.
Mathematics.
The science dealing with the logic of quantities, shapes, spaces, and arrangement.
Examples:
A good grounding in mathematics. Mathematics competition. He has a flair for mathematics.
Outlandish.
Bizarre, strange, or unconventional in appearance, behavior, or thought, often in a way that is seen as foreign or exotic, unusual or strikingly different from what is expected or normal.
Examples:
Outlandish proposal. Outlandish behavior. The outlandish outfit drew the attention of everyone in the room.
Concept.
An idea or principle associated with something abstract.
Examples:
Learn new concepts. Concept car. One such rapidly growing concept is quantum cryptography.
String.
Long, thin material used for tying things together, composed of several twisted threads.
Examples:
Retie the string and make it strong. Tense piano strings. She wore a string of pearls around her neck.
Vibration.
A continuous quick and slight shaking movement.
Examples:
Protection against vibration. Sympathetic vibration. Vibration displaced part of the mechanism.
Teeny.
Extremely small, tiny.
Examples:
Teeny bit. So teeny tiny. The ring was so teeny that it almost looked like a toy.
Twang.
To produce a sharp, ringing sound, usually by striking, plucking, or vibrating a stringed instrument or vocal cords. To speak or utter in a nasal, high-pitched voice.
Examples:
Twang guitar. Twang accents. The guitarist's fingers twanged the guitar strings, creating a unique sound.
Dual.
Having two parts, aspects, or elements.
Examples:
Dual purpose. Dual nationality. This laptop has a dual-core processor, making it fast and efficient.
Manifest.
To show something such as feeling, attitude, quality, etc., clearly through signs or actions.
Examples:
Manifest as the word. Manifest displeasure. The Prime Minister manifested his regret for his neighbors.
Photon.
A unit or quantum of electromagnetic energy, typically regarded as a particle that is the basic constituent of all light and other forms of electromagnetic radiation.
Examples:
Photon emission. Photon energy. Infrared cameras detect photons in the infrared range of the electromagnetic spectrum.
Particle.
A small piece of something, a word or piece of a term with grammatical function, but little or no significance.
Examples:
Charged particle. Particle energy. We can calculate the position of the particles statistically.
Coincide.
To take place at or near the same time.
Examples:
Partly coincide. Coincide with reality. These results coincide with our hypothesis.
Intuition.
The ability to understand or know something without reasoning or evidence, a feeling that guides a person to do or believe something without fully understanding why.
Examples:
Creative intuition. Intuition research. Some studies suggest that people's intuitions can be influenced by their experiences and biases.
Envy.
To experience a feeling of jealousy or resentment towards someone because of their possessions, qualities, or achievements. To desire to have something that someone else has. Noun, a feeling of resentment or jealousy towards someone else's perceived advantage or success.
Examples:
Envy his success. Feeling envy toward him. I can't help but envy my friend's ability to stay calm in stressful situations.
Slight.
Very small in degree or amount.
Examples:
Feel a slight concern. Slight increase. We made slight modifications to reflect the views of both sides.
Variation.
The act or state of changing, a difference or change in the way something is done, made, or said.
Examples:
Variation of temperature. Gene variation. There is a lot of variation in the colors of flowers in the garden.
Interaction.
The act of connecting with someone, mainly when working, playing, or spending time with them.
Examples.
The interaction between man and his environment. Interaction among human beings. The interaction of the two groups is good for brainstorming.
Mass.
A large amount of a substance with no definite shape or form, a large number of people or things grouped or crowded together.
Examples.
A mass of molten rock. Critical mass. The mass of people who do not own property is politically impotent.
Mindset.
The established set of attitudes or fixed ideas held by someone.
Examples.
Flexible mindset. The mindset in an education system. Countries whose goal is economic development often focus on fostering an entrepreneurial mindset in each individual.
Defeat.
To win against somebody in a fight, war, or attempt.
Examples.
Defeat a global power. Defeat body odor. Despite his best efforts, he was unable to defeat the enemy.
Overcome.
To succeed in controlling or dealing with something, such as a problem or difficulty, to defeat or overwhelm someone.
Examples.
Overcome opponents. Overcome all difficulties. He tried to overcome a bad reputation and win the election.
Incredibly.
In a way that is very difficult to believe, exceedingly, or extremely.
Examples.
Incredibly cheerful character. Get incredibly insecure. Several cities are experiencing incredibly high unemployment rates.
Grateful.
Feeling or showing an appreciation of kindness, thankful.
Examples.
A grateful breeze. Put a grateful expression. She was grateful for the help he provided.
Extraordinary.
Exceptional, unexpected, very unusual, surpassing the ordinary or usual.
Examples.
Extraordinary ability. Extraordinary weather. He narrated the extraordinary story of his adventure.
Shadow.
A dark area or shape cast by an object blocking the passage of light, an area in darkness or shade, a reflected image or copy of something, a person, activity, or influence that follows or accompanies someone or something closely and persistently, often in a secretive or ominous manner.
Examples.
Shadow cast. Shadow puppetry. The tree cast a shadow over the picnic area, providing relief from the sun.
Spin.
To cause something to rotate rapidly, to cause someone to feel dizzy or disoriented.
Examples:
spin a top, spin thread out of cotton. The tornado is spinning across the countryside, destroying everything in its path.
Expiration:
the act of expiring or coming to an end, the termination of a contract or agreement, the process of breathing out or expelling air from the lungs.
Examples:
automatic expiration, contract expiration. The expiration date on the milk carton had already passed, so it was no longer safe to consume.
Disrespect:
an expression of lack of regard or contempt for someone or something.
Examples:
mean no disrespect, disrespect for a customer. His disrespectful behavior towards his elders earned him a stern warning from his parents.
Dominate:
to have or control a lot of power and influence over somebody or something.
Examples:
dominate possession, dominate over the weak. The perspective of his right brain dominates his consciousness.
Withstand:
to resist the effect or impact of something.
Examples:
withstand pressure, withstand temptation. The new phone is waterproof and can withstand being dropped in water.
Intellect:
the ability to think logically and comprehend information, especially at an advanced level.
Examples:
enrich my intellect, human intellect. Your intellect is capable of distinguishing among similar objects.
Newtonian:
relating to Sir Isaac Newton or his laws of motion and universal gravitation.
Examples:
Newtonian physics, Newtonian mechanics. The motion of planets can be described using Newtonian mechanics.
Clockwork:
a mechanism in which a series of gears, springs, and other mechanical elements are used to power a device, especially a clock.
Examples:
run like clockwork, clockwork precision. The clockwork mechanism in the grandfather clock needed to be wound up every week.
Universe:
everything that exists, especially all physical matter, including planets, stars, galaxies, and all other forms of matter and energy.
Examples:
theory of the universe, expansion of the universe. The universe is about 13.8 billion years old.
Peel:
to remove the skin of fruit and vegetables.
Examples:
peel a fruit, peel off easily. The storm had peeled all paint off the siding.
Predict:
to state beforehand that something will happen in the future, mainly based on knowledge or experience.
Examples:
Predict the future. Predict when she will arrive. It's notoriously challenging to predict birth rates.
Tact.
Skill and sensitivity in dealing with others, particularly in difficult or delicate situations.
Examples:
Public speaking tact. Show great emotional tact. His diplomatic tact helped him to navigate the difficult negotiations.
Leap.
To jump or spring into the air, often with the feet leaving the ground or a surface below, to move quickly or suddenly, often forward or upward.
Examples:
Leap to a conclusion. Leap of faith. The athlete was able to leap over the hurdle with ease.
License.
An official permission or authorization to do, use, or own something, a legal document that grants the holder the right to perform certain activities, such as driving a car, practicing a profession, or using a particular product or service.
Examples:
License renewal. Software license. Before driving, ensure you have a valid driver's license.
Cogito.
A Latin word that means I think, the principle establishing the existence of a being from the fact of its thinking or the conscious mind.
Examples:
Cogito-driven analysis. Cogito-based decision-making. The philosopher's cogito-centric approach to understanding human consciousness has generated a lot of discussion in academic circles.
Zoom.
To move along very quickly, noun, the act of rising upward into the air.
Examples:
Zoom in on a photo. Zoom lens. He zoomed back in time to the soccer game.
Translate.
To convert or change words into another language.
Examples:
Translate a document into English. Translate the emotion to a movement. Translate the text from Italian into English.
Identify.
To recognize someone or something and say or prove who or what they are.
Examples:
Identify handwriting. Identify gene sequences. I will introduce you to how to identify the leading causes of the malfunction.
Germ.
A very tiny living that causes the disease, a piece of something such as an organism, concept, etc., capable of growing into a new one or part of one.
Examples:
Antibiotic-resistant germ. A germ-free environment. The germ of his idea came from watching birds flying in flocks.
Philosophy.
The study of general and fundamental questions, such as those about existence, reason, knowledge, values, mind.
Examples:
Philosophy of education. Western philosophy. Ethics is a branch of philosophy.
Associate.
To mentally connect someone or something with someone or something else.
Examples:
Associate alcohol with gambling. Associate with people widely. The majority of consumers associate this brand with quality.
Invention.
The creation of a new device or process resulting from study and experimentation, the act of inventing.
Examples:
The invention of new techniques. Common invention. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Labor.
Productive work, especially physical work done for wages, the people who do manual or physical work in a country or company for wage. Verb, to work hard or to strive and make an effort to reach a goal.
Examples:
Seasonal labor. Manual labor. In several countries, child labor is a serious social problem.
Undergo.
To go through something unpleasant or that involves a change.
Examples:
Undergo surgery. Undergo a decrease. The train has to undergo rigorous safety checks.
Synchronize.
To happen or cause to happen at the same time or rate.
Examples:
Synchronize movements. Synchronize our watches. The ball speed will increase when the lower body movements are perfectly synchronized.
Rhythm.
A strong, regular, repeated pattern of sounds, words, or musical notes that are used in music, poetry, and dancing.
Examples:
In samba rhythm. Irregular heart rhythm. He beat out a jazz rhythm on the cajones.
Cycle.
An interval during which a recurring sequence of events occurs, a bicycle or motorcycle.
Examples:
The cycle of the seasons. Go to the workplace by cycle. The food chain causes a material cycle.
Hospitable.
Friendly and generous to visitors or guests.
Examples:
Hospitable environment. A hospitable welcome. He is a good-natured and hospitable man.
Environment.
The natural world such as air, water, and land in which humans, animals, and plants live.
Examples:
Environment affairs. Chaotic environment. Every human is responsible for taking care of the Earth's environment.
Descendant.
Children or offspring of a specific person, plant, or animal.
Examples:
Descendant of a pioneer. Third generation descendant. Those warriors' descendants are still skilled archers.
Slave.
A person who is either legally or illegally owned by someone, a person entirely dominated by some influence or a person.
Examples:
A slave of drink. A slave trader. You should work hard but not be a slave to it.
Immortal.
Having eternal or never-ending life, living forever, incapable of dying, having enduring fame or lasting significance.
Examples:
Immortal soul. Immortal love. Legends often describe mythical creatures as immortal beings.
Observation.
The act or activity of carefully examining or monitoring something or someone.
Examples:
Class observation day. Observation instrument. In the hospital, she will remain under constant observation.
Talented.
Having a natural ability or aptitude for something, showing exceptional skill or ability in a particular area.
Examples:
A very talented actor. Talented athlete. She is a talented musician, able to play several instruments.
Proof.
A fact or piece of information that shows something is true or exists.
Examples:
Documentary proof. A geometric proof. Proof is better than argument.
Headline.
A heading at the top of a newspaper or magazine story or page.
Examples:
Headline article. Banner headline. The engagement of the two golf players became headline news.
Frank.
Honest and sincere, open and candid in expression.
Examples:
Frank and open discussion. Make a frank apology. Full involvement means frank and prompt responses.
Degenerate.
Of a person, animal, or plant, to become worse in health or physical condition.
Examples:
Degenerate into a disagreement. Degenerate into recession. The once thriving city has degenerated into a crime-ridden slum.
Arrange.
To plan, prepare for, and carry out something.
Examples:
Arrange the meeting. The list was arranged alphabetically. I need to arrange plans with him for the celebration.
Decompose.
To break down or cause to break down over time into simpler substances or elements.
Examples:
Decompose matter. Decompose into simpler molecules. After the earthquake, many of the buildings in the city were left in ruins and began to decompose.
Constituent.
One of the parts of the whole, a person represented by an elected official.
Examples:
Constituent assembly. the solid constituent of blood cells. Each constituent member of the council has the right to vote on important decisions.
Reorganize.
To change to a more sufficient or suitable form of organization.
Examples:
reorganize a department, reorganize his debts. The new CEO was appointed to reorganize their business.
Exciting.
Causing a lot of interest or excitement.
Examples:
exciting football player, exciting news. The findings of the experiment were both exciting and unexpected.
Process.
A series of actions or operations performed to achieve a particular outcome or goal, a systematic procedure or approach used to accomplish a specific task or objective, a method of treating milk to make it suitable for consumption or use in other dairy products.
Examples:
process improvement, decision-making process. The process for applying for a visa can be lengthy and complicated.
Biology.
The scientific study of life and the natural processes of living things.
Examples:
evolutionary biology, cell and molecular biology. In junior high school, we had to dissect a frog in biology class.
Economy.
The system by which a country or region produces, manages, and distributes goods and services, including the money and finances involved in these activities, of an airline, the lowest priced, most basic option for seating in commercial travel.
Examples:
economy of scale, economy class. The economy of the country is struggling due to the recent political instability.
Enormous.
Extremely large or great.
Examples:
enormous amount, enormous potential. Shakespeare's output of poetry was enormous.
Enrich.
To make better or improve in quality by adding something else.
Examples:
enrich a gas with a balloon. Enrich public services. Reading not only increases knowledge, but also enriches life.
Banquet.
A lavish meal or feast, often for a large group of people, and often accompanied by entertainment and celebration.
Examples:
banquet hall. Host a banquet. We had a delicious banquet at the hotel for our anniversary dinner.
Appetite.
A natural desire or craving for food or drink, a strong desire or liking for something.
Examples:
appetite suppression. Loss of appetite. After a long hike, I had a huge appetite and devoured my meal in minutes.
Consume.
To spend something, especially fuel, energy, or time, in a large amount.
Examples:
Consume a large of alcohol. Consume electricity. A smaller car will consume less fuel. Invite. To ask someone to come or join, to offer an opportunity or possibility for something to happen or take place.
Examples:
Invite guests. Invite criticism. We want to invite you to our annual charity event. Microbe. A tiny living thing that can only be seen with a microscope and that may cause disease.
Examples:
Pathogenic microbe. Microbe sterilizer. Microbes thrive on the surface of the human skin. Detritus. Waste or debris of any kind, particularly organic matter that has decayed or broken off from larger organisms, figuratively, a collection of disorganized or discarded material or ideas. Examples: Detritus pile. Detritus removal. The beach was littered with detritus and trash left behind by careless visitors. Delicious. Exceptionally pleasing to taste or smell. Examples: Delicious breeze. Variety of delicious foods. We could grill the meat in a delicious way. Observe. To watch or notice something carefully, often to gather information or insights, to take note of something or someone, to celebrate or commemorate a special event or occasion. Examples: Observe a tradition. Observe wildlife. It is important to observe safety procedures in the workplace to prevent accidents. Introductory. Intended as an introduction or preliminary, serving as a base or starting point. Examples: Introductory biology text. Product introductory sale. The introductory class was designed to give students a basic understanding of the subject. Separate. To force, take, or pull apart, mark as different. Examples: Separate video into chapter. Separate cream from milk. We need to separate the aspect of his personality from the part of his competence when making an investment decision. Physicist. A scientist who specializes in the field of physics. Examples: Talented physicist. Theoretical physicist. Einstein was an outstanding and famous physicist of the 20th century. Collapse. To fall down or give way suddenly, often after breaking apart. Examples: The stock market collapsed. Ready to collapse. The roof finally collapsed after 3 days and 3 nights of heavy snowfall.
Coherence.
The quality of being logical and consistent.
Examples:
Coherence in a speech. Lack coherence. The story's coherence could have been better when the author included too many unrelated details.